Okay, this is Chris Pendergraft, and I'm going to be doing a little speed painting demonstration here. Um, I'm starting out with this black and white drawing that I've done of Dr. Strange, and it's just going to kind of be a pretty close detail view. And basically, it's broken up right now into three different layers: the human layer, there's a background layer, as well as a cape layer. Um, I'm using Art Rage Studio. I'm going to save off this black and white copy so I have this black and white reference because I like to keep my black and whites like kind of charcoal or pencil drawings. So this Art Rage Studio is a great drawing program. It's pretty affordable. I think it's about 80 bucks. You might be able to find even a better deal certain months, you know, when they're running deals and stuff. But I originally ran into it as an iPad drawing app, and now it's kind of replaced most of the drawing and painting work that I usually do in Photoshop. Not completely. There's still quite a lot of stuff I can do in Photoshop I can't do in this program. And so I'm starting out basically here with a background color layer. What I've done is I've taken the black and white drawing and just created a blend mode of a multiply. And what that does is it allows the black values to come through and then kind of creates a transparency um, for lighter values like white would be completely transparent. So then you can kind of underpaint underneath. And what happens though, it's a little bit different because I'm going to do this in two stages where I'm painting over the top later on, but right now I'm painting, see this underpainting here, you see it's a much higher value than when it displays under the multiply from the value layer. And so it's a little bit different process, but really what I'm trying to do is I'm just adding these greens and pinks, and then I'll be coming back with some blues and just kind of adding a bit of what you would consider kind of ugly looking skin, really kind of green, pale skin. Here comes some violet coming in. Here comes some blues, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? So this really has to do with how I envision this is that Doctor Strange will be kind of casting a spell when this is going on, and that it's actually going to be, you know, some green coming in that you're really going to see. And so this is kind of just me going through and doing the cape layer and just getting some base chroma in there, getting rid of the whites that are in the drawing. The only real white should be basically in his hair color. So then here I am over the top here basically with a layer above the value layer. So there's just pops on the top. And it's just going to set up the base values and the base hues for what's going to go on. Now, right now, he has some pretty kind of purpley skin and stuff. And with this over paint, I'm going to go through and put the real kind of top layer flesh tones. But the other thing that's going to happen, since he'll be like kind of casting some incantation, I think there's going to be some like green glowing energy around him, and that'll be shining on his face, and that's really what we're going to see. So in the end, he'll kind of be green with, in the shadows, some flesh tones coming through. I think I'll probably do the flesh tones on the right side of his face and the green values, or rather my right, but his right will be green and his left will be flesh tones and maybe a highlight on his cheek. So here I'm just going through and starting to put on some more even value kind of Caucasian skin tone here. And I kind of, you know, he's got gray hair and stuff, so I don't really, a lot of times people kind of see him as, you know, kind of a muscle-bound guy or something like that, but really he's kind of more of an intellectual. He's probably, you know, a skinnier guy. He's looking a little bit like Frank Zappa here, but we'll get to that. I'll shape his beard out and everything. But right now, it's just kind of what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of putting in some top layer values. This is on a normal blend mode, so this is really just pure color. And what I'm using is this airbrush running an opacity of about 20%, so I can really just lightly have some control. I use the Wacom Cintiq tablet screen system, and I have the 12-inch, so it's kind of about the size of a drawing pad to me, and I like that. I'll probably upgrade to the HD at some point, but I don't professionally illustrate, so it's kind of hard to justify it in the taxes and everything since I'm a software developer. So it's a lot of money to throw down. So right now I'm going to go in here and do these incantations so that I can so what I'm doing is I'm making a stencil out of this circle so that I can reuse the stencil. That's one of the silly little things. And so, okay, so I'm back here, and I forgot to record some of this, but basically I went and got some Sanskrit and made a stencil out of that in a triangle, and then I went over here on another layer of green to do this kind of green shaping layer. And so we're getting close to what I would consider the values and light that's going to be established is pretty much there. So let's come in and kind of work a little bit more, a little bit weirdness in the eyes there, so I'll probably work that out a little. Kind of, every time you add another layer of chroma, what happens is that if you see up in his forehead, all of these blues and violets that were there in the underpainting are kind of coming through a little bit, and they're kind of making some mud a bit, but it's exciting mud because it's got a variance of chroma in it, and that's why the underpainting is so important to create, even semi-realistic human skin tones and everything, because we are, you could take the same person, even if it was a total like fair-haired Irish girl with, totally Blanco skin, and put her in different lighting environments. And that's the thing, especially when you get into something like this, where you're trying to do a real ethereal kind of thing going on. He's not really going to be a pure flesh tone anyway. So, and again, I'll hit highlight spots, take them down. Sometimes I'll work things too much, so that's the thing, is you got to kind of keep zooming out to feel what's going on. And now I'm starting to get into the zone where I'm feeling it. So you can see with or without the green layer, you can see I almost kind of reshape the value drawing and the way his face looks and everything, but I think that's cool. I think, just try to go as fast as you can and not get hung up, and then but keep an appraisal of your method so that you keep an idea of where you were trying to get to when you started, so that you don't get too far off track. And certain things like drawing an eye or something you might do 100 times, but you still have to make those eyes look like they sit in the head, and everything. So I usually do eyes with a couple different layers, and I really am trying to not make them pop out too much. If you look at most people's eyes, even if they have very light eyes, unless it's a very highlight situation, the eyes are kind of lost in there. So the thing I'm working on lately is trying to make the eyes have a more 3D volumetric, like a sphere coming out of the head. Which is ultimately what's happening with an eyeball. If you were to really look at a lot of people's profiles, some people's eyes really recede out of their head, or I guess proceed, you would say, they pop out, and some people's eyes recede into their skull. So it all depends, has a lot to do with just your face shape, your ethnicity, and you should be able to draw any kind of person from any part of the planet